that needs little introduction. It's been out of the limelight for a while, but even younger gamers are familiar with Bimmy and Jimmy. Wait, I mean Billy and Jimmy. See, anyone can make that mistake. Maybe it's time we all forgave Double Dragon 3. In 1987, Double Dragon was a huge arcade success, and it only made sense for its creators, Technos, to port it to various home consoles. And port it they did. Double Dragon was made available on 15 different home consoles and computer systems, even the Atari 2600. The most popular of the Double Dragon ports were on the NES and the Sega Master System. When I was growing up, the NES was king, and I never even knew the Sega Master System existed. This one was given to me 3 years ago, and it still works really well. I think these are supposed to be instructions, or a rough diagram for how to hook it up. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I don't have any controllers for the Master System, but thankfully Genesis controllers work just fine. On to the games. Right off the bat, the one downfall that sticks out on the NES version is that the story mode is single player only. That's right, the #1 arcade smash, Double Dragon, is only one player. I know there's a 2-player versus mode, which is okay, but it doesn't really count because when everyone thinks of Double Dragon, they think of the classic 2-player co-op beat-em-up. Even the front shows Billy and Jimmy kicking ass together as a team. This is where the Sega Master System version pulls through, as you can play as Billy and Jimmy with a friend, just like the arcade version. In the Master System version, every attack is available from the very start of the game. Meanwhile, on the NES version, you are initially limited in the number of attacks you have. As you gain more points, you level up and gain more attacks. The NES has a few attacks that are original to itself, such as pinning your opponent down and brutally punching them in the face, and the fancy jumping spin kick that the enemies always seem to dodge. The Sega Master System version has its own crummy attack, the leaping reverse kick. In both games, the primary attacks are punching and kicking. In the NES version, the roundhouse kick has a bit more reach and stuns the enemies for a longer amount of time compared to the punch. In the Sega Master System version, this is the total opposite. So you'll find yourself ignoring the roundhouse kick altogether, unless you're going for a high score. I think it looks a bit odd as well, almost uncomfortable. The headbutt also looks weird. It looks like you're trying to kiss your enemy rather than strike them with your skull. The hit detection in the Sega Master System version is weak in comparison to the NES version. This can make attacking the enemies very difficult, even with the weapons. Enemies seem more resistant in this version, and they don't stay stunned for very long, and can still get up after being knocked down 4 to 5 times. The Master System version can handle up to 3 enemies on the screen at a time, while the NES version only has 2. This is probably for the best as the Master System suffers from intense flickering issues. It's still playable, but a bit of an eyesore. In the NES version, you are given 3 lives. That's it. No continues and no extra lives. However, the Master System version offers unlimited continues until the final mission, but 30 leaping reverse kicks will help restore your immortality. Each game has 4 missions with different settings. The Sega Master System version is extremely faithful to the arcade, while the NES version adds original environments which include platforming elements. As you can see for yourself, both games have decent graphics for their time. The Master System version is more colorful and the backgrounds are more polished when compared to the NES version, which has some pretty bland backgrounds. As countless others have stated, the music and sound effects in the Master System version aren't nearly as memorable as the NES version, despite it being more accurate to the original arcade music. Just listen to the sound of the doors opening in the Master System version. Nice touch, Sega! Mission 4 is the final stage in each game. Here you fight through a number of baddies and eventually the machine gun wielding boss, Willy. In the Master System version, this is where the game ends if you're playing with just one player. Aww, may you live happily forever. However, if you're playing with 2 players, you must fight each other in order to win the love of Mary Ann. It seems both brothers have a thing for Mary Ann, since the back of the box says she's Jimmy's girlfriend, while the instruction booklet states that she's Billy's sweetheart. So they leave her hanging there while one brother kills the other right in front of her. What a happy ending! Things take a similar direction in the NES version as once again the Lee brothers are forced to duke it out. As it turns out, Jimmy is the real boss and leader of the game. I guess this is the only way Technos could work Jimmy into the storyline and stay somewhat true to the two-player arcade ending. But as I mentioned earlier, the box art for the NES version shows Billy and Jimmy beating up bad guys together. They even have this whole brotherly forearm stance thing going on. To say the least, it's a bit misleading. After defeating Jimmy, you finally get to rescue your girlfriend Marion, and the game is over. So, which is the better game? Both games are classics and were really fun to play for this review. Although the Sega Master System version gets bonus points for including two-player co-op, the NES version is simply more fun to play. There's minimal flickering to deal with and the controls feel more precise. You can never be sure you're going to land a punch in the Sega Master System version. Some people really dislike the environments that were added in the NES version. Personally, I enjoyed the variation. There was more to this game than just walking forward. The NES wins this